this is a very brief guide on an easy quality life protection build for paladins in TBC. Alright, so for the first tier, your two options are going to be Redoubt or Improved Devotion Aura. Since you're going to be spending a lot of time solo, unless you're purely dungeon queuing, you're going to want to focus on what benefits you the most. And you just get a greater benefit when it comes to your blocking with the Redoubt talent. Damaging melee and range attacks against you have a 10% chance to increase your chance to block by 30%, last 10 seconds or 5 blocks. This is really useful because if you get multiple people in front of you at a time, that increases the chance that this will proc. And then the more times you block, it'll just keep going from there. It's just a really useful talent, and in general it certainly outweighs the benefits you get from Improved Devotion Aura. In the next tier, right here, we have Toughness, which increases armor value from items by 2%. Guardian's Favor, nice quality of life, reduces the cooldown of your Blessing of Protection by 60 seconds and increases duration of your Blessing of Freedom by 2 seconds. And then you have your hit chance from Precision. You definitely want to go with Precision to reduce any missed hits, because with Righteous Fury, dealing holy damage on every hit, that's going to be one of your main components for generating threat as a Protection Paladin. Now, some people will go into Toughness here, some people will say this is more of a PvP talent. Because this is for leveling purposes, I think it's more useful to have your Blessing of Protection cooldown reduced by 2 minutes, because you're going to have a lot of oh shit moments. Now in this tier, everything is arguably pretty good and worth taking, but we're going to focus on Blessing of Kings first, because this just boosts all of your total stats by 10%. So you don't have to worry about picking between, just strength or intellect or what have you, between Blessing of Might and Blessing of Wisdom. It's just good all-around blessing. And since the Prot tree is the only tree that can give you that blessing, it certainly stands out to see it leveling, since most paladins will be leveling as ret. After that, we're going to go into Shield Specialization, because that reduces the damage taken every time you block by 30%. Or it increases how much you take, increases how much you absorb by 30%. I should learn how to read before I do these things. To bump us up to the next tier, we're gonna skip Anticipation for this whole thing. That's more of a very end game talent that you might use when you have a few extra points lying around, but because it only increases your defense skill by a flat rate, and it's not as imperative to have a high defense cap, you are not really going to see a huge benefit from this at the lower levels. So we're going to put 1 point into Righteous Fury. And before we come back to fill this out and what Improved Righteous Fury does, while Righteous Fury is active, all damage taken is reduced by 2% and increases the amount of threat generated by your Righteous Fury spell by 16%. What your Righteous Fury spell already does, if we go to the character screen, increases the threat generated by your holy spells by 60%. If we go back to the talents, so once you max this out, this is going to bump you up to, for the sake of this example, we'll push it up by 50%. So you're going to be getting a huge bonus and damage reduction from this one talent. But for the purpose of leveling, we're going to focus on Improved Hammer of Justice, because reducing the cooldown of your main stun is going to be extremely useful, especially in those tricky situations, along with the reduced cooldown on Guardian's Favor. From there, we're going to go back and put 2 more points into Improved Righteous Fury. So from here, a few changes in TBC that you will find in Classic, but you won't find here. The way that spells the way that spells occur, there's no longer the same type of batching, to my knowledge, that happens when you cast spells. A technique that many paladins would use in classic World of Warcraft was that you could exploit Reckoning to unleash all the hits all at one time by essentially turning your back on an enemy to get the crits to stack, and then turning around and unleashing everything at one time. For some reason, the way that things are run in TBC, this no longer works or is as efficient as it was in Classic. And of course, you have one of your main blessings here. So you're going to have two strong blessings from this tree. You can either give this to your friends, use it for yourself. This one is also amazing, especially for when you are tanking. Blessing of Sanctuary. Places a blessing on the friendly target, reducing damage dealt from all sources by up to 10 for 10 minutes. In addition, when the target blocks a melee attack, the attacker will take 14 holy damage. So this reduces damage that you take for 10 minutes, and every time you block, you deal damage. And that's 14 holy damage, so that means every time you block, along with your auto hits, your consecrate, your judgments, so on and so forth, that's going to be more threat generated. Now what I like to do here, just because there's not really anything protecting you from this while you're leveling, all spell damage taken is reduced by 4%. Just a little extra padding against spell damage, as you don't really have anything inherent built into the class to mitigate that. Now, we're kind of at a loss because none of these talents are necessarily imperative or crazy beneficial for leveling, in my opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and put 2 points into Toughness. What this does is it increases your armor value from items by 6%. And you might be wondering, wouldn't it be better to get your defense skill up? But you have to think that since this talent is percentage based, it is going to grow with your armor as you get more armor points. So that percentage is going to weigh more heavily as you get better gear as you level. And this is also just a good filler talent when you need to progress to the next tier. Next up, we have a really great one, Sacred Duty. Maxed out, it increases your total stamina by 6%, reduces the cooldown of your Divine Shield spell by 60%, and reduces the attack speed penalty by 100%. So this is just an all-around quality of life talent that you're going to see as a necessity in any prot tree, as there are certainly no cons, only benefits taking this. And we're going to focus on that one first to get that bonus to your stamina and the reduction to your Divine Shield, and to the reduction for your attack speed. Up next, we're going to start putting points into your one-hand weapon specialization. Increases all damage. Every point increases the damage you do with a one-hand weapon by 3%. That's just a flat all-around bonus to the damage that you deal, which will help you kill things as you level, and which will make it easier to generate threat as you go along. So you can see a lot of this is focusing on quality of life, but also damage reduction and threat generation. Now this is one of the core talents of the tree, your Holy Shield. You're going to be using this just about every time it's off cooldown. This is essentially one of your class's main abilities. Increases your chance to block by 30% and deals 59 holy damage for each attack blocked while active. Damage caused by Holy Shield causes 35% additional threat. Each block expends a charge, 4 charges. So what this does is that you cast it, you have 4 blocks that are all increased by 30% chance to block, which are going to give you damage dealt, 59 holy damage. That also works with the damage dealt from Blessing of Sanctuary, and that's all holy damage. So compared with the bonus holy damage threat generated with Righteous Fury, you're going to increase your threat generation by a crazy amount using this ability as often as you can. And this gets even better over here with improved Holy Shield. increases damage caused by your holy shield by 10% and increases the number of charges of your holy shield by 2. So now you're taking this 59 damage, increasing it by 20%. And this also works with like intellect and spell power, other caster stats that you'll get as you level. And you're also increasing the charges from 4 to 6. So 1, 2, 3, we've gotten one of the core abilities of the spec. So from there, we're going to go back and we're going to fill out one-hand weapon specialization. We could put some points into Ardent Defender, but if I have the opportunity to clean out a talent, I will take it. Up next, this is pretty easy. So instead of just flat weapon skill for hit writing, you also have expertise being your main contributor to how well you can hit things. And also every point in the combat expertise increases your stamina by 10%. So again, that's just another 5 expertise and 10% stamina bonus added with this talent. And remember, since that is percentage based, that's going to grow as your stats get better, along with Sacred Duty. So far in the tree, we're seeing a 16% increase to stamina. Now the most famous skill from Protection Tree added with the Burning Crusade is the Avenger's Shield. You get to run around every time this is off cooldown, throw it like Captain America, do a butt ton of damage to multiple enemies, stun them, and generate a huge amount of threat. Now that, for the purposes of leveling, taking you up to level 50, that is where I'm going to leave the Protection Tree. Some people might go back and fill some things out, like Toughness, or maybe even putting some points into Reckoning. Ardent Defender is also more situational, but can be definitely beneficial, as when you max it out, it'll reduce the damage taken by 30% if you get to low health. So you got two options. You can start putting points into Retribution, or you can put points into Holy. If you go over into the Holy Tree, you're going to think of what abilities you use the most and what is going to contribute to threat generation. Because a lot of the mana issues were fixed for Paladins going into the Burning Crusade, you can take 5 points into Divine Strength. Now improve Seal of Righteousness, and Seal of Righteousness is going to be your main seal as a Protection Paladin. Will increase the damage done by a total of 15% when you max that out, so that's even more holy damage threat generation. Aura Mastery, that's just a good quality of life and extends your aura, which you're mostly going to be using Devotion Aura while you're tanking, and extends it to the whole party. So if anybody gets out of range, you have a larger margin of error to work with than having to keep everybody right on your ass. Now from here, increases the amount healed by your Holy Light and Flash of Light spells by 4%. Since while you're leveling, you're not going to have the biggest issue getting your heals off, so I prefer to ignore that talent, and instead, I would take Improved Lay on Hands. Gives you bonus 30% to your armor for 2 minutes after you use it, and reduces the cooldown for 20 minutes. So that's sooner you can get Lay on Hands, and sooner and a greater armor value bonus every time you cast it on you, which is going to help you in those holy shit moments while you're leveling or running dungeons. Now you have Unyielding Faith, which is good quality of life. Fear and Disorient can really throw off a dungeon and lead to a wipe, so we're going to put 2 in there. And then how many points do we have left? We have 5 points left, so we can go 2, and then from there we could go back and put the last 3 into Toughness. At this point though, you'll be 70, so we're not too concerned with these very endgame talents. Let's clear out Holy and see what our options are. Hello Gothic Horse Girl. Hello my lovely wife. Thanks for tuning in. I'm doing a quick guide on how to run a Protection Paladin while you're leveling in the Burning Crusade. Now your other option is to come over here into the Retribution tree. Benediction is one of the key and fundamental talents that a paladin can take, because you're going to be using your judgment and seals a lot, and this reduces the mana cost of your judgment and seals by 15%. Now here we have a few options between Improve Seal of the Crusader, or going back a little bit, Improve Blessing of Might. This is beneficial, however, it's just not worth the points as you're trying to get to the next tier, and this definitely outweighs the benefit that you get from Improved Blessing of Might, especially if you're going to be using Blessing of Kings or Blessing of Sanctuary while you're a Protection Paladin. Up next, the guaranteed talent that you're going to want to take and see in a lot of Protection Retribution builds is Improved Judgment. Judgment is going to be one of your most used abilities, so reducing the cooldown of that by only 2 seconds is going to make a huge difference. Now here, since you're leveling, you're not going to see a lot of gear giving you parry chance or block chance or a lot of endgame defensive skills, so I personally like to take Deflection to get that 3% parry. However, if you are concerned about your threat generation, this increases the critical strike chance of all attacks made against that target by additional 1%, and that includes critical strikes that deal with holy damage. This is a little more situational, and you might not be using it because in a lot of cases, Seal of Crusader is only going to benefit you in long fights. Short engagements, for the sake of damage and reducing wasted mana, you're gonna want to keep Seal of Righteousness up and judge with that, and rinse and repeat as you go along. So I'm going to put those 3 points into Deflection, and we're going to move ahead. Now we have 10 points left. From here, increases chance to get critical strike with melee weapons by 1% in Conviction, gives a paladin damaging melee attacks a chance to reduce the target's attributes by 5%. This is definitely made for PvP, so we're not going to even look at this right now. Seal of Command. This is bread and butter talent taken for Retribution Paladins that are using two-hand weapons, as this works primarily off of top end damage. So a slow, large two-hand weapon is going to be the best for this talent. Since as a Protection Paladin, you're going to be using the old sword and board, we're not going to even think about this. What I would do here for just more quality of life, because that's what I like to focus on when I go for leveling. Pursuit of Justice. Reduces the chance that you'll be hit by spells by 5% per point and increases movement and mounted speed by 5%. So that is a flat bonus to your movement speed and reduces the chance that you'll be hit by spells. More mitigation that works alongside spell warding as you're leveling, because again, there's not much protecting you from spell damage outside of resistances and auras as you level. And from here, I like to put 5 points into Conviction to get critical strike with melee weapons by 5%. And that increased critical strike chance is going to help you maintain threat, do more damage as you level, and just help make your quality of life and killing power a little stronger. Now you have 2 points left over. Again, you're coming up on 70, so it's not going to really matter where you throw it. You can put it into Reckoning if you want. You can put it into Ardent Defender. You can put it into Crusade even, just to get a better bonus damage for those last 2 levels from 68 to 70. What I would either do, in my personal opinion, if you're not looking to respec as soon as you get to 70, although you'll definitely have enough gold to do so, I would either put those last 2 points here into Deflection, just to finish out this talent because I love it when things look nice and clean. However, another thing that I would do is come over here to Toughness and put 2 more points in there. Then when you get to 70, do a little more research on endgame builds that are more suited for heroic content and raiding, and go from there. Again, this is more about the quality of life leveling protection talents for a paladin going through the Burning Crusade. I hope that helps.